SWX has this season's exclusive pass, bringing you into the locker room, onto the field, and inside Saints football. This is Carroll College Saints Insider.
Here at the bleachers at Burt and Ernie's, I'm Jeremy Schnell for the first edition of Saints Insiders. I got Coach Purcell with me, Troy Purcell. He is the new Saints head coach, but he's not so new to Helena, Coach, right?
Yeah, born and raised here my whole life. You know, was an old C.R. Anderson Wildcat for a while, and went to Capitol High and worked my way, you know, and played at Carroll College also. So pretty fortunate to, you know, be able to come back home here. It's been pretty special. All
right, it's time to get to know Coach Purcell, even though he's not so new to Helena. Coach, rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. Favorite football team growing up?
Probably the Denver Broncos.
Why?
You know, it was everybody liked the Cowboys, and it always seemed like the Broncos and you know, Cowboys were playing each other, so I always liked them, and they're probably the proximity, you know, and being able to watch them all the time. I think it was a big part of it.
All right, favorite football team now? Could be college, could be pros.
You know, I think right now it'd probably be the Seattle Seahawks. You know, one of my former players got to be able to play there. Just kind of where I have ties to, you know, with players. I want them to be successful.
Would you consider yourself an offensive coach or a defensive coach?
It just depends on, you know, what is needed. You know what I mean? So right now it's more of the offensive side, but I have coached, you know, both and called both.
What do you like to do in your spare time, Coach?
I like hunting, fishing. I like getting out on the boat, and you know, maybe a little bit of golf on occasion, but and spending time with the family. You know, as long as we're out spending time together, it's a positive day.
Who do you think you model your coaching style off of?
I think it's a variety of, you know, Coach Petrino, Coach Tuss, you know, reading different things about different coaches, and from Class B ball all the way to A ball, all the way up. You know, Scott King up in Malta, and Mike Gear over in Sydney, and you know, Nordahl over in Dillon, and you know, so you always try to get, anytime you meet somebody, anytime you go to a, you know, an all-star game or go to a conference, you try to pick up one thing and try to make you better as a coach. And so I think it's just you know, all the guys put together, and like I said, you pick that, you know, the special thing about each one of those that you like.
When did you decide that you wanted to be a football coach?
I think my sophomore year at Carroll. You know, that was kind of the time that you know, I decided to jump into coaching. I just love coaching, and it's always been, I love football. I didn't know if I was going to like coaching or not. I took my first head job at 23, and I wasn't ready. You know, so I knew linebacker and I knew running back, but that was about it. You know, at that time. So so a lot of learning going on there. Took a, you know, head job right away. So yeah, just had to get better. But no, I enjoyed it.
So how long have you been coaching for then?
30, I don't know, 30, 29, 30 some years. Yeah.
Were there any other sports that you might have thought about coaching, or
yeah.
You played it as a kid?
Yeah. No, I was playing it as a kid. I tried to play them all, and I figured out by the 8th grade that basketball really wasn't my thing. You get 5 fouls, and you know, I used all 5 of them, you know, for a reason. So. But no, that was, and I've coached girls, you know, softball, fast pitch softball, and track, and coached a little bit of wrestling and football, so along the way.
Favorite quarterback of all time?
I'd say Terry Bradshaw or Brett Favre. You know, there's a couple of, you know, Pro Bowlers.
Gunslingers, right?
Yeah, yep. And, you know, it just seems like they'd be fun to hang out with. You know what I mean? Put them on a boat somewhere fishing sometime, you know, and I think I could relate to them pretty well, and, you know, have some good conversations and have a good time.
Last but not least, favorite snack food?
Snack food. I don't know. Maybe a jar of peanuts. You know what I mean, with a beverage. And
keep those on the sideline with you sometimes?
No, not. No, for sure.
All right, let's move on to Carroll, because we got a game coming up in just a couple weeks.
Yep.
QB situation. You got 2 great QBs, and have you figured out who you're going to put at quarterback yet?
Yeah, no, they're still battling right now. I just want to keep moving forward and keep evaluating them as they're moving forward, and got a pretty good idea, you know, kind of right now. But you know, again, I want those guys to compete, and I don't want them, either one of them, to think they're not going to be it yet. I want them both to compete and be, you know, be competitive and push the other person to be as best that he can be also. And you always got to prepare yourself as a starter. You get one, you know, you lose a shoe, your helmet falls off, you get a hangnail, something gets you out of the game. You got to get that other person in there and get them going. So you always got to prepare your mind as a starter, and you got to prepare, especially at the quarterback position, with all the checks and on the things that we're doing to make sure you're sound.
Obviously, Bridgewater, he came from Colorado State, Pueblo. Tell me what he brings to the table. He might not be the starter, but tell me what he brings to the table.
Devin, you know, he's a gunslinger, and he had a lot of success there in Idaho when he was playing, and he's starting to really understand what you know, what the offense is all about and all the keys and reads. Pretty fluid with his feet, and, you know, he's kind of like a point guard. You know what I mean? He's he does a good job, I think, more on the run, and yeah, you know, our zone read stuff and everything, I think he's going to do real well at that.
How do you think your offense will run with either quarterback, whether it's Kobe or whether it's Devin?
You know, if they're going to load the box up in certain situations, we got to have our, you know, advantage checks. You know, we'll check our passing, you know, what we've got in the game plan that week, and if they're going to back them off, and, you know, we're going to run the ball. So we're going to take what they give us. First
game against Western, about a week and a half. What do they bring to the table? How are you going to try and stop their offense? When Carroll played them last year, they scored a bunch of points on Carroll. So how are you going to try and stop them? Yeah, we got to be, you know, maintain that quarterback. He's a special player. He's very explosive, and you know, he's just very explosive. He's a good player. We just got to maintain him, and you know, keep their offense off the field. And and then on the defensive side, you know, Ferris, you know, he's an All-American, and he's a special player. You know, so. On the defense side, we got to get them going sideways a little bit. They like to run a lot of line games up front, so those linebackers can run and be free. And yeah, it's going to be a battle. They got a lot of returners coming back. You got to play down there. So, you know, that's a very, very tough matchup, you know, right out of the gate. Let's go back to your offense, and let's talk about Major Ali for a second. He's one of those players that can do everything on the field. He can run, he can pass block. Talk about how he's going to be included into your offense. He's a great guy. He just won one of our captain positions, and you know, just an outstanding young person on and off the field, inside zone runner, and a great blocker. You know what I mean? And his receiving ability has definitely improved from the spring to now, and so I feel very confident, you know, throwing with the ball, you know, out of the backfield also. Obviously, we've talked about your offense a lot, and we've talked about Major, and we talked about the two quarterbacks. Let's talk about your defense for a second. Okay. What do they bring to the table for your team? Gosh, that front seven solid, man. That front seven solid, and, you know, especially with depth. You know what I mean? I think we're solid all the way around, but I think just you know, that the defensive line and the linebackers, you know, are the most solid with the most depth. How about that? And then like I said, the back end is doing a great job also. You know what I mean? So it's fun to watch them run around. It's fun to watch them be enthusiastic, and they're tapping the hat, and we're a big high emotion. You know, we're shock D defense. You know, we want to go ahead and shock some people and play with emotion and play with fire and have some fun out there, and these guys are doing that. Who's kind of stepped up as a leader for that defense so far? Yeah, Dylan Kresge was one of the middle linebackers, and he was voted one of the captains there, and he's kind of the general, you know, and then Chase Bowen. And one thing about Chase, you know, right when I got the job, I said, all right, if you're heading into an alley with somebody, what person on this team would you take with you? And most of the guys said, we're going to take Chase Bowen because he's tough, you know what I mean? So that's the kind of guys you want to be your leaders. He's more of a, you know, he leads by example more than a vocal leader, you know what I mean? So, but he's fun to watch, you know, he'll thump you. Other than Chase, who do you expect to step up for either defense or offense? Yeah, Isaiah King's got to really have a great year, you know, with the corner position. You got Fauntleroy, you know, at safety. I think he's a great leader on the back end with Matt Quebec. Colgraf on the defensive line. Garrett Kokab, gosh, he's got to play. You know, he's unbelievable. You got David Peterson at the defensive end position. You got you know, Gray Kine at the other defensive end position. You got McGree at the other linebacker position. So again, the depth, and, you know, Seamus Tolley, you know, at the D line, all tough guys, all guys that can play. Offensive line wise, Tanner Steele and Alex Hoffman. Those two are probably you know, the offensive tackles that are going to do an exceptional job. Not a lot of depth there. But again, the kids that we have there are very, very outstanding and good. And J.D. Lyle has been playing a little bit of center, also with her left guard position, so I expect great things out of him. Other than that, we got some battling going on that offensive line to kind of see where we're going to gel. I expect great things out of Tony Collins, you know, the tight end position. He's a young guy, redshirt. Actually, he's a sophomore right now. And so athletic as heck, and he's just doing an outstanding job. Shane Stipes is a receiver. You know, he's one of our fastest, most explosive guys. You got Joe Ferris, you know, just coming
back. He had an Howie Hill there for a while, but man, he had an explosive day today. You got Caleb Adams, you know, also at the running back position. Got some shaky shakes, so he's pretty good also. So
sounds like
just
you're really
excited, man.
Yeah.
Just excited about these guys and what they bring and their enthusiasm and their energy.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, thank you for joining me on the
bet.
first ever episode of Saints Insider. Make sure to join us every Sunday at 6 o'clock here from the bleachers at Burt and Ernie's. But for Coach Purcell, I'm Jeremy Schnell. Have a good night.
Nate. Come on, Nate. We get that? That's hitting home, right?